I love it when it gets quiet. I'd like to welcome everybody to Urbana City Council regular session Tuesday, December 6th, 2016 at 6 o'clock. Roll call, please.
Mr. Hoffman. Mr. Pena.
Here.
Mr. Thackeray.
Here.
Mr. Piper.
Here.
Mr. Paul.
Here.
Mr. Scott.
Here.
Mr. Fields.
Here.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First thing on our agenda is the Urbana City Council regular session minutes of November 15th and work session minutes from November 22nd. We need to approve those.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the regular session minutes of November 15th and the work session minutes from the 22nd as prepared. I'll second.
No corrections or additions? All those in favor of accepting those minutes, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous? And the mail was heavy this week. We have 7 communications.
Number 1, Shade Tree Commission meeting minutes of 10/13/16, emailed 11/14/16. Number 2, Stormwater Advisory Board meeting minutes of 11/7/16, emailed 11/15/16. Number 3, BZA meeting minutes of 10/10/16, emailed 11/15/16. Number 4, Planning Commission minutes of 10/24/16, emailed 11/29/16. Number 5, Design Review Board minutes of 11/7/16, emailed 11/29/16. Number 6, letter from Columbia Gas dated November 28, 2016, emailed 12/1/2016. Number 7, charter change certifications, see attached.
Okay, council, we can accept all these at once and go over them one at a time.
I'll move that we accept all 7 communications at one time.
Second.
Okay. Any comments on the first one? Shade Tree. Stormwater Advisory Board meeting minutes. We went over the stormwater at the work session. DCA minutes. Planning Commission. Design Review. Columbia Gas. Charter change we'll talk about later. Okay.
Can we take just a step back to number 6, the letter from Columbia Gas, which I did read. I kind of came out of it confused if we were looking at an increase in cost. Did anyone understand that or not? Mm-hmm. Okay. Does anyone remember what the numbers were? It was like $1 to residential unit. Okay. I thought it was a minimal amount, so I just want to make sure I read that correctly. Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. We get to pay for all the updates we got over the next 100 years.
Yeah.
There's no further discussion. All those in favor of accepting our communication this evening, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Administrative reports from the Board of Control, Madam Clerk.
The Board of Control recommends council authorize a purchase order to the Howell Buildings Company in the amount of $8,550 for material and labor required to fabricate an aluminum stair assembly, prepare the site, and install at the rear of the municipal building to allow access to the police and fire divisions. See attached. This will be charged to capital improvement, police and fire levy fund, and is in the 2016 budget. Vote 3-0.
Okay, council, to speak to this, we need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
This is kind of a point of the discussion we had a couple meetings ago, work session. The training tower out back starting to deteriorate. Some of the bricks starting to shift. We've had a couple of different engineering firms look at feasibility of trying to keep those, if it's repairable or not. We're still trying to put together the final determination. In the meantime, the way those stairs are deteriorating and the shifting of some of the blocks, our proposal is to shut off the entrance or access to the tower. In order to do that, this will create a temporary access to the upper level of the patio from the parking lot. And our plan with using the material, the metal versus the wood, is when we get ready to do whatever we end up doing with the tower, we can incorporate these steps into the next phase. If we do get into the demolition, we'll incorporate that into access for the future. So rather than just building something and tearing it out, we wanted to build something that we could reuse at the next phase if and when we get to the point of starting to demolish or tear down part of that tower. So we just need to get this moving.
Mr. Fields, questions?
None.
Let's get settled in, Mr. Hoffman.
I saw some of the pictures that were in the packet of some of the block work. It looks like it's really starting to come apart.
It's starting to come apart. A couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, we had the firm that actually, the architect that designed and engineered the structure, come over and look, and for them to, and I had to pull the detail out, for them to go through and do a full-blown feasibility, stability study, it was going to talk like 5 digits to get that done. And it just didn't seem to be feasible to spend that kind of money to tell us that it probably isn't going to be able to be repaired. So we had another independent firm come in and look at it over the summer, and he's given us the scope of work. He's recommending that it's not feasible, and I'll have all that put together here probably early next year. But we're going to have to probably look at bringing that building down to a stable height and eliminate the upper portions of it. So we'll probably bring it down to the patio level and still have that as a pad, as an extension of the existing patio, but it will not be used as a training tower at this point.
How often are you guys using that as a training area?
We're not actually using it that often. We used it for our entry-level test, but with the way the conditions of it are, we didn't use it this last time.
Okay, so you're not really losing any functionality or anything, or?
Rope rescue type things, but I would not put anybody up there
Right.
at this point to do anything like that. We haven't done that for a while.
Okay. I'm sure there's got to be another site you could do.
Right, yeah, there is.
Okay. So how quickly, if we approve this tonight, how quickly would this get
But it's a
built?
matter of getting the stairs fabricated, then have Howell Construction be able to get them in here and put them in place and
Okay.
do some of the modification you have to do to get in place. So I'm going to say, maybe by the end of the year if we're lucky.
Oh, okay, that fast?
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Wow, okay, great. Thanks.
Mr. Scott?
No questions?
Mr. Thacker?
I like the idea that you could use it within take it down, reduce it, so we're spending money once and getting it used twice.
Right.
So I think that's great, and I appreciate it.
Mr. King?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Pfeiffer?
No questions.
Mr. Hoffman?
No, thank you.
Okay. There's no further questions. All those in favor of accepting the board control's recommendation, authorize the purchase order to the Tile Buildings Company, the amount of $8,550 for a new wooden stair assembly, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Again, thank you. Next one, please.
The Board of Control recommends council authorize a purchase order to Valley Fencing in the amount of $8,025 to replace fencing on fields number 6 and number 9 at Melvin Miller Park, see attached. This will be charged to capital improvement fund and is in the 2016 budget. Vote 3-0.
Okay, council, speak to this. We need a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Hopefully the pictures that Chris provided in the packet were pretty self-explanatory. In particular, Field 9, we've had some concerns over the summer where the outfield fence had been rolled up pretty well, pretty good, and we're using rebar to kind of hold the fence back. And so we were able to get the fence somewhat secured to finish out the season, but we're at position on that one. That outfield fence the fabric has to be replaced. On Field 6, the same thing. The fabric's starting to just get to the point that can't hold it tight, can't keep it secured, so we're going to have to replace that fabric and some of the posts on Field 6. So again, hopefully it was pretty self-explanatory. If you recall, wasn't maybe a year or so ago, we replaced all the fencing around the slow pitch field. So a lot of that fencing out the park's starting to get some age on it. So we're really need to start looking at it as a whole, and then start phasing through. And this is probably the two worst sections at this point, so we'll probably look at more for next year. But just something to get started while they're out of season and the weather's still going to cooperate. We can put fence up as long as it's not driving ice and rain, so.
Mr. Hoffman, questions?
No, it's just a long time coming. The fence out there is in bad shape. And it's actually kind of a health hazard if you're
All right.
taking a fly ball fence and there's rebar and angle iron and whatever else is holding that stuff down. So, long time coming. It's going to look good. It's going to help make the park stay one of the gyms here. So, that's all I got.
Mr. Paul?
Yeah, I agree completely with that. No further points to make. I think it's pretty much a no-brainer at this point. Let's do it.
Mr. Scott?
No questions. Thank you.
Mr. Thacker?
No questions?
Mr. Pena?
None. Thank you.
Mr. Piper?
No, thank you.
Mr. Fields?
None.
Okay. No further questions or comments. All those in favor of accepting the Board of Control's recommendation to authorize a purchase order to Valley Fencing in the amount of $88,025 for the ball fields, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? New fence. That's our last request for money. Citizens' comments. I have 3 people that would like to come forward tonight. Aaron Freer.
All right, he's actually on the resolution, if there's questions. We're going
Okay.
to ask him both to sign in.
All right. How about Dennis Fisher? Same
Same
thing.
thing.
Ben. How are you? Come on.
Good evening, Council Administration. Just wanted to bring to your attention that DP&L is kicking off our second year of our partnership with the Salvation Army for what we call a Gift of Power. The program we started last year offering residents in our territory the opportunity to have kind of a hardship payment taken care of for them. So if they lose a job or fall on hard times, something like that, we have a means to help them pay a utility bill, pay their electric bill during the winter months. I'll pass out a flyer to you guys about this. Last year we ended up having DP&L put in $100,000 and then customers contributed an extra $60,000 towards the program. So about 400 families were helped through that. This year DP&L put in $115,000. Donations are open for, again, residents or customers if they want to contribute to it as well. The Salvation Army facilitates the program. The local Salvation Army chapter will be able to accommodate applications and interviews to be able to help with this. So, like I said, I'll give you a little bit of information. Please spread the word if anyone's interested in contributing, or if you know folks that are going to be potentially need assistance. The assistance months start actually the day after Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so January 17th through, I believe, April 15th. So I have several months during the winter that they can get assistance. So I'll pass these out to you. Any questions?
Mr. Paul?
Yes, they are allowed to get more than 1 month if they need it, correct? Did I hear that right?
This is a one-time assistance, so
Okay.
it would just be for one month utility bill.
Okay.
On the back of this, we do have a listing of other programs that Community Action helps sponsor and run some federal and state programs that can help on other times as well.
So what area does this cover, Ben?
This is the entire DP&L territory, so we have 24 counties.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thanks, that's good. I like that. Thank you.
Mr. Scott?
No questions, thanks.
Mr. Thacker? Mr. Pena?
No, thanks, Ben.
Mr. Piper?
Well, thank you.
Fields?
Merry Christmas.
All right,
Thank you, Ben. Okay, we'll move into ordinances and resolutions for third reading.
Resolution number 2433-16, a resolution to appropriate money for the several objects and purposes which the city of Urbana, Ohio must provide for the fiscal year ending December 31, 2017.
Okay, council, this is a third reading. We need a motion to that effect, please.
So moved.
Second.
Since Chris isn't here.
Chris wasn't able to make it tonight, but I think everybody now has a current budget for, as we discussed the last two meetings and at the work session. So again, the net out of that, we've got a whopping $6,942 surplus in next year's budget. So we're in the black.
Nice.
So we're going to continue to do everything we try to do with what we have. So continuing to look for opportunities to increase, some of the services and how things move forward. But the best we can do is right here in the book. If you have any questions, I'll try to answer them. I think we've answered almost all of them that we've come up so far. So.
Mr. Scott, any questions, comments?
No, thank you.
Mr. Thacker?
I like black when it comes to budget. Thank you.
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Piper? Thank you. Mr. Fields? Mr. Hoffman?
Our reserves, if I remember right, our reserves are where we wanted them.
Yeah, we try to target for 15%, and I believe we're right at it or just right around it. So I think we've met our mark on that.
So I guess to inform those that may watch or listen to these meetings, it was just a few years ago, where were we with regards to our reserves?
We were probably half of where we should be with that, doing more for that rainy day fund, if you will. So we, over the last couple of years, been able to work our way back up to getting enough backup if we need it for emergencies.
So if I look at it, we've got a balanced budget, which obviously you guys intentionally balanced. You guys have done a good job of maintaining services without overspending money. There's a lot of services out there that are still in need. So I kind of look at this year's, the team's kind of stopped the bleeding. Maybe it's a little excessive, but kind of slowed the bleeding a little bit. We've got our reserves where they need to be. We're in the black. Now we need to focus on some of these projects that have been kicked down the road for
Right.
years and years and years. So I appreciate the budget that you guys put together. It's very informative and it helps us make business decisions. Thank you.
Mr. Paul?
Love the book. It's pretty much soup to nuts, A to Z, everything in here. One maybe addition I'll talk to Chris about, though, is I don't know if it's maybe a quarterly or biannually update as to where we are, actual spending versus budgeted, just to kind of give us an idea. Are we plus or minus a certain percentage, just so we can kind of see? Because we, as a council, we haven't really paid too much attention to that, honestly. On a rolling basis, it's been a case of we do the appropriations budget, and that's pretty much it. We don't
Right.
follow it as the year goes on. So, and I think we should, at least even at a high level, just kind of make sure we understand what's going on and where the money's going. So I'll talk to her about that. But
Yeah, when I was just to comment, I think, the subcommittee that you guys put together, I think helped, meeting with Chris periodically, some of the little more regular at times, depending on what it was. So I think that helped the communications back and forth that you could share amongst yourselves and back and forth with Chris. So I know she appreciated that opportunity to sit down with you guys and work through some of the details and answer questions as they came up. So.
And I still owe you some mock-ups for reports for our website.
Right.
For budgeting, where we are, spending, and things like that. So
Right.
I've got that in the back of my, unfortunately.
One of your dashboards?
Yeah, it's on the to-do list somewhere. But thank you, this
Yeah.
is very handy, you did a great job with it.
Okay, any further questions, council? Okay, hearing none, we'll need a roll call on resolution 2433-16, please.
Mr. Pena?
Yes.
Mr. Thackeray?
Yes.
Mr. Piper?
Yes.
Mr. Paul?
Yes.
Mr. Scott?
Yes.
Mr. Fields?
Yes.
Mr. Hoffman?
Yes.
Okay, 2433-16 passes unanimously. Second reading, please.
Ordinance number 4439-16, an ordinance authorizing the Director of Administration to enter into an indigent defense agreement with the Champaign County Commissioners to allow the city to receive partial reimbursement from the Ohio Public Defender Commission for indigent defense expense in Champaign County Municipal Court.
Okay, Bree, you want to tell it one more time? Maybe one more after this, too?
Actually, if you look at your budget document, that actually tells you how much the city has spent on indigent defense the past few years. Again, this is for any code, Urbana codified ordinance that is charged that would require a public defender, and that's anything that carries a potential jail penalty. The city is obligated to pay for an attorney for any defendant who cannot afford one. Any questions?
Okay. Mr. Thacker, questions?
No questions.
Mr. Pena?
No questions, thanks, Rick.
Mr. Piper?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Fields?
No.
Mr. Hoffman?
Nothing.
Mr. Paul?
So, housekeeping.
Mr. Scott?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Bree. We'll declare ordinance number 4439-16 to have a second reading. Now the first reading, please.
Resolution number 2497-16, resolution of the City of Urbana Council adopting the enterprise zone agreement between the City of Urbana as the municipal corporation, Urbana MOB LLC as the property owner, and the Memorial Hospital of Union County as the enterprise and lessee.
Guess who's going to take this one?
Yeah. In your packet, you'll see all of the mandatory forms. We have the application, and it's a joint application with Urbana MOB LLC and Memorial Hospital of Union County. You also see the application, and then also you'll see the notices that were sent to the school districts, both Urbana and Ohio High Point. After I had sent the letters, the attorney with Urbana School Systems called me and said they did not have to have the 45 days per resolution of the City of Urbana. So I sent them the resolution, they agreed, and then you'll see the response I got back that they understood they'd received the notification. Previously, the notice was sent October 28th for the partnership. It's a 15-year agreement application for 75% on the parcel that's noted out on US Route 36 in the PUD area there on the Dugan Road entrance towards Walmart. And what the real estate taxes that are being paid right now on that agricultural land is $217.57 for half a year. So with this application, the private entity, Urbana MOB, would be responsible for real estate taxes. If it's the ownership of the hospital, there is no real estate taxes, they're tax exempt. So with this agreement, we would have real estate taxes coming in to the county, which we don't have right at this time. So it'd go to all the different entities, the schools, senior citizen library, all those kinds of things. So the agreement's here. There's the 12 positions that would be hired in with this agreement, as well as maintaining their current level of employees that are already here in Urbana. Those employees would be moved to the new facility, and then we would have the total of the income tax here coming to Urbana because it is in the corporation limit. So that's it right at the moment. It's about a 30,000 square foot building, and both representatives of the hospital and also of Urbana MOB are here as well. If there's questions for them that they can answer on the technicalities of the building or services or any of those things too.
Mr. Pena, any questions?
No, I don't, thank you.
Mr. Piper?
No, thank
Mr. Fields?
you. Nothing.
Mr. Hoffman?
Maybe skipping.
Maybe skipping.
Still think this one.
Yeah.
Mr. Paul?
Okay, I'll throw a couple out there. So just for clarification's sake, so item 4 is years 1 through 10, the tax exemption amount is 75%. So if the tax was $100, they're paying 25. Basically, is kind of how it works, right? Years are
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
The highlighted section 5, what does this mean? It says the council.
What, I'm sorry, Dwight, what are you looking at?
Oh,
The draft agreement?
yes. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I highlighted, I'm sorry, go ahead and answer.
Okay, the council of the city of Urbana hereby waives the annual fee equal to the greater of 1% of the dollar value of incentives offered under the agreement for a minimum of $500. What fee is that?
It is under Ohio Revised Code that we could put that type of a fee on enterprise zone applications and then
Oh, it's an application fee.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And the administration of the grant agreement or the agreement during the lifetime of the agreement when we do the tax incentive review meetings every year. But the city had exempted those previously, so that was a question for Brianna as well.
Okay.
As you see, that's why it's marked draft, because that hasn't gone anywhere
Right.
yet.
Well, I think we would more than make down in the end without the application fee, if I read this correctly. So I kind of read this as Urbana MLB, in a sense, is kind of doing us a favor by maintaining ownership of the building.
That's how I see it.
Yeah.
They're the private entity. If the hospital owns it, there's no taxes. There's
Right,
no real
exactly.
estate taxes.
So I'll say thank you now. So I think for now, I think that's the only, do we have any, I know this is early on in the process, but any kind of a timeline as to when we think this would become functional, like an actual building with real people inside? And
Yes, on the application itself,
did I miss that?
yeah. On page 3, number 9, project was begin first quarter of 2017 and completed the first quarter of 18. And so this, and Spence could probably help answer this, but the 16 current employees would start moving into the new building, and then the hiring of the additional would start with that as well.
Great.
And I think we put, the number 10B, timeframe for projected hiring is April 17 through April 19.
Great. Terrific, thank you.
Mr. Scott?
I have no question. Section 4, just, again, this is confused a little bit.
Okay, you're on the agreement?
Mhm. It says, the exemption commences the first year and so forth. It says, no exemption shall commence after January 17. Shouldn't it be?
That should say 27, or, 10 years, 27. That's why it's
Should be
draft.
before January.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
I
10
just
years
asked
from,
and I was confused.
yeah.
Okay.
I missed that one when I typed that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
But how do we do that? Okay, that's all I have.
I'm glad you saw that, so I can go back and change it.
Thanks.
Should I come back to Mr. Hoffman?
No,
Okay.
we'll have another day.
Yep. This is just the first reading. If there's no further questions or comments, Resolution 2497-16 has had its first reading. It's a lot of papers you read. Next one, please.
Ordinance number 4465-16, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the city of Urbana, Ohio by rezoning parcel number K48-25-00-03-21-002-00, aka Lot 50 of the PB Ross Second Edition to the city of Urbana from R2 Medium Density Residential to M1 Manufacturing as requested by the applicant and property owner J&J Champagne LLC.
We're just stalling.
Oh,
Wait for
okay.
the mayor to leave.
Oh, okay.
You want me to leave now?
Why don't you leave in the middle of this presentation?
This one, late this fall, Adam Moore, the zoning officer, and myself met with J&J Champagne, which is J&J Schlegel, McKeever Excavating, same entity. This is their real estate holding. This is the LLC that holds their real estate. They, as you know, bought a new building out on 36 and have located out there for McKeever Excavating, and they're also going to. They've also moved J&J Schlegel to that location as well. So their long-term plan is to vacate the property they have on Bloomfield Avenue, which was McKeever Excavating. In reviewing that, we found a couple of issues with the property as it existed. One was an alley vacation, which you looked at here within the last couple months, that basically there was an ordinance that corrected that previous alley vacation, which has now been recorded, so we do not have a platted alley running through a building anymore. So that's been cleaned up. The other thing that came to our attention is there's a parcel that makes up that site that was purchased in the 90s by Mr. McKeever.
that didn't appear to have ever been rezoned for how it's being used. It essentially is an extension now of McKeever Excavating. There's dirt piled and materials piled, things like that. And there's part of a building built on it that had a zoning permit, but for whatever reason they permitted it, even though it was in 2 different zoning districts. So that being said, we're just essentially working through how can we correct that going forward. And staff felt that it should be rezoned to be consistent with the way the rest of the property is zoned. So essentially, if the property owner goes to sell that property, they can sell it together. The downside to that is it does abut residential property, and we had at least one resident that attended both planning commission meetings where it was considered. And we are going to have a public hearing on December 20th meeting at 6 o'clock. That'll be advertised here soon. And I'm sure we may have a few residents again that are there. And I think their main concern is if the property is zoned M1, long-term, what could be the use for the whole property, including the part that's rezoned? There's also an unimproved alley that runs north-south along that property that has been used for access for that lot over the years. And when I say unimproved, it's not paved in any type of way. And that's kind of a source of contention with some of the neighbors. But from a land use standpoint, it makes sense for it to be consistent with how it's been used for 20-some years. And it basically, if it was kept as a residential property, it really would have very little value from it doesn't have frontage to any public street, it doesn't have utilities, so it really needs to sell with the rest of the property. And it partially has a building on it already. So Planning Commission did make a recommendation for it to be rezoned. It was not unanimous. It was a 4-2 decision at their November 28th meeting. So this is just starting the process. Again, we'll have a public hearing. You do have some exhibits attached that hopefully give you an idea of possibly what parcel we're talking about as far as the map and what the proposed rezoning will be. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Piper, questions?
No, thank you.
Mr. Fields?
Nothing.
Mr. Hoffman?
No, sir.
Mr. Paul?
Based on the map, Doug, it looks like the triangle area that we're talking about is it landlocked?
Essentially, yes. It does not have frontage to a street. It would have frontage to an unimproved alley.
Yeah, well, that's Bloomfield. Yeah, got that. Okay.
Yeah. The alley that was just vacated would be, maybe for the next meeting, we can get you an aerial view of it, that you can actually see the buildings and the alleyways and that type of thing. So
Okay.
this is more of a formality as far as what we have to follow as far as the amendment to the zoning map that's been proposed.
Yeah, understood. Okay, thank you.
But an aerial would help, so we can include that in the next
Yeah,
packet.
that would be helpful. Thank you. That's all for now.
Mr. Scott?
Does that alley come off of Talbot or off of Bloomfield?
There is an alley that comes off of Talbot that's improved, and it terminates into the property. And then there's an unimproved alley that runs north-south between the houses on Talbot and this particular triangle. And it dead ends somewhere down towards the railroad track on the south end. Definitely one to maybe drive by and get an idea of what we're talking about and where we are and kind of the context, especially in advance of the public hearing next time.
Makes sense. Any questions?
Any questions?
Is this property all fenced in right now?
I don't think in the back that there's any fencing around that particular parcel. There is some fencing along Bloomfield or up on that part of the site, but I'm not sure back here.
Now, don't a lot of residents use that unimproved alley off that
There are some that have,
to get back in back of their property?
yes, some of them have openings in their fences. And we're not proposing to do anything with the unimproved alley. It would stay an unimproved alley.
How about the one north and south? Are they?
That's the unimproved, the north-south that runs behind. Yeah. The east-west has been vacated up to that unimproved alley.
Okay. Thank you.
Any further questions, council? take a look, we'll have a public hearing on the 20th.
Yep.
And we'll orders 4465-16, that's first reading. And we're done with readings. Miscellaneous business. Mayor, go ahead.
I'm going to leave here to go out to McCauley Center to their parade, and every time I've been out there, it's just been a wonderful event, and the residents at McCauley seem to, really look forward to it. So I'm heading out. so I can't think of anything else. We got another time for holiday season and Christmas. So thank you, Mr. Hess.
Have a good time, Mayor.
I'm out of here.
Keep the reindeer for us. We'll move over to the chief then. How's that? We'll see council for last.
I have one quick item. If you recall, a year ago in the fall, we started a memorial tree program, and this fall, we actually received 13 applications for memorial trees. Those were all planted over the last 2 weeks. We have the majority went to the cemetery this year. The balance are at the park. We also have the dog park nonprofit. They donated some money towards some trees at the dog park. So I forget what the exact number was we had last year. I'm going to say 8 or 9, and so this year we were up to 13, and that's at $350 a piece. So I think it's a program that's resonating with people as far as honoring somebody. We had somebody drive up from Cincinnati to plant a tree for their family member, and so it's pretty successful program so far. So I just wanted to share that kind of as a follow-up. We had applications due, and we got 13. So. Thanks.
Good. Bree?
Nothing.
Amy? Okay. You want to be last?
I'm the Lone Ranger, right?
Go ahead.
Just a couple quickies. The compost facility is now closed for the season. Saturday was the last day. So if there's anybody missed it, I guess they can hold on to it till spring and work it out. We're in the final days of the leaf pickup. Final round started on Monday, so they're working through picking up the last piles this week. I think looks like weather-wise, this is probably good timing to be wrapping up. So, this is it. In lieu of the having a work session on the 27th, which I assume probably wouldn't be well received, I would just like to give a heads up that if needed, we may ask for another work session type after our 20th meeting. Just if there's anything that we need to cover for the end of the year, it might be a good opportunity to just extend that meeting a little bit rather than trying to get everybody back together on the 27th. But I'll leave that up to council's, prerogative there. So I think that's all I have at this time.
Mr. Fields?
Nothing.
Mr. Austin?
I'd like to apologize for being a few minutes late. I was coming in from out of town, so almost made it.
I told you he'd be just a little bit.
Okay.
He would let me hold the meeting.
That's all right.
Field said it's time to start.
Oh.
I'll go excuse you, don't worry about it.
That's all I have.
Do we have to make a motion to excuse your absence? Carrie, I would be